Hey guys, Shane here at Fugatech 3D Printing. It's time to kick off this week's 3D printing vlog. Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm real excited, got some good things going on. Let's dive right in and see what it is. So if you guys follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see that I put out a picture of this spool full of filament. So these are the 4 filaments that came in the maker box. October box, which I'm just about to print. I just filmed the opening yesterday, and I'm about to start the prints here tonight after I do this video. And this spool is capable of holding 4 loose sets of filament, which is great because it does all 4 of the maker box. It uses 3 arms, but you will see that it's kind of triangle because I am using 3 arms. Not a huge deal. I didn't personally feel the need for a 4th arm. I also didn't have a 4th arm that printed out very nicely, so I didn't want to go ahead and reprint another arm. But I'm starting to do, I think I'm going to do a spool roundup just for MakerBox. So for all you guys out there that subscribe to MakerBox, I'm going to do a roundup and see what spool is best. I'm not a huge fan of this spool already because I did have to re-spool it. So I actually have I had 2 clips that I put on my workbench, put this on one, put the spool on the other, and spun it onto the new spool. I'm not a fan of that because they do a pretty good job at MakerBox of giving you an untangled spool. Pretty good. I've had a few that weren't so great, but it's not a big issue. I do have another spool though that I'm actually getting ready to print. I have it right there on there, and that one is adjustable. So I can actually leave 2 of the arms on there, like attached, have the 3rd one so I can fill, put the spool on it, the bit of filament I should say, put the bit of filament on the spool, and then pull the 3rd arm out to make it tight, not super tight, but tight enough to hold it on there, and then just add the bolt in and it's good to go. And I'm going to test out, I'm going to probably do maybe 5 to 10 of the popular ones that I see out there that are for loose filament. And I'm going to give credit to some of these guys. Some of these designs are pretty sweet. And if you want to try this one out ahead of time, I'll put a link down below and you can give that a shot. But I think this will be a really fun experiment to see how this works out, just because I don't know how it's going to do. So again, it'll be cool to see how it turns out, and we'll have more on this later. And finally, I got this box all the way from China. I had opened up because I knew what it was, but it is kind of destroyed. My mail gets really destroyed here. And I opened it up, and wham bam, we've got all the parts here for the D-Force Mini kit. And I am super stoked about that. I have to actually look through this, but they sent me way more than I asked for, so thank you guys for that. 4 new kits for part of the pulley system, all new wheels, proper size bolts, it looks here. I'm not going to dig into it now. This is going to be part of when I do part 3 of the build, is me talking about what I got here, but this is just the hardware part of it. There are a couple other things here wrapped in here. Let's see, in all this foam. That off. You got to cut this open. Hang on. They sent me this is weird. They sent me the part for the spool holder, but there's no MKS board in here. So that's strange, because I specifically said the MKS board, the 1.5, was bad. So right now it doesn't look like I got the right parts. I'll write her an email. She might have sent more than 1 box, which very well could be. This might be the only box that came this week. I'll have to wait till next week when I get mail again to see if that is what came, if that's true or not. But currently, that is not the case. So we have the hardware, which is great, but we need to find the board. So I'm going to write her an email and find out from TriangleLabs what's going on. What are you sending me? Why did you send me this random piece for the spool holder? I don't know, but hey. We'll give them benefit of the doubt and say they sent 2 boxes, so hopefully that'll be coming up. Okay, so all you guys out there in America, we got Thanksgiving coming up this week on Thursday. So I wanted to do something Thanksgiving related. I couldn't figure out what it was, but my wife said, she's like, hey, go out in town, find me some local fabric, and I'm gonna make some napkins. I was like, well, that's a great idea, napkins. I need something to hold them, so we need napkin holders. So I printed out these pretty awesome little turkeys. I'm doing in front of my shirt so you guys can see it. These are printed with Hatchbox Wood Fill PLA, and if you follow me again on social media, you'll see I sent out some teasers about this. I had a pretty good discussion in the Fugatech group because I actually was getting some under extrusion. Let me zoom in here so you can see what was going on. Okay, so you can see here in the top layer, there is some under extrusion, only on the top layer though. My bottom layer is golden. I mean, it is just a beautiful bottom layer. This stuff lays down great. But the top layers, I wasn't getting enough infill. I was like, there has to be something wrong here. So we made a little bit of a tweak, and let me show you what that one looks like now. So here's my tweak. So the tweak was to up the overlay. I might say this wrong, so I'm not looking at Simplify 3D. So there is an overlap setting in Simplify 3D for the infill, and it's at default is set at 15%. So in order to correct for this seemingly under extrusion, I upped that to 50%, and I got this. So we have about 99%, 99.5% coverage, but there are a few gaps still in there. And after talking to a couple people, I went ahead and made some changes to my wood fill setting in Simplify 3D and came out with another solution. So I'll show you that one now. But actually, before I show you that, let me show you this. This is a little calibration cube I did with the wood fill PLA, and it turns out perfect. But what I had to do here is what somebody suggested is that I have my extrusion multiplier set to 0.9 for wood. I have it 0.87 for PLA. Now they said up it to 1 and see what happens. So this is at a 1.0 extrusion multiplier Simplify 3D. So here is the bottom layer, nice full layer, nice and shiny down there, well as shiny as wood can get. And here's the top layer. I set the overlap back to 15% by default, and it turned out perfectly. There's no real gaps at all. A little bit here at the top, but that's just the way it was oriented. But other than that, this turned out great. So I took this setting and we did the next print. Okay, and here's my final print. The brim is still on it, and so is the support material. So let me get it centered here. And bottom layer turned out really good. It had one little nick up here for some reason. I don't know why, but it did. And right here in each of the end of these two feathers, you can see there's a little hole right there. That is just where the infill did not reach. If you were to reposition this some way, you would be able to counteract that. But I did not. I had this positioned the exact same way on the build plate. But all of the other feathers are super smooth, super filled in. It turned out great. So this was an extrusion multiplier of 1.0. If I up my overlap to maybe 20%, I probably could correct these two little holes in here. But other than that, these are great little napkin holders. I did hope to have the napkins to put in there to show you guys, but she's not done yet. So that's okay. But these will be ready whenever she is. And to clean these off, I pull off the brim, and then I use a file to make sure I get that off nice and clean. Pulling off the support material comes off just like that. And you can see there's the brim there left to come off. So just scrape that off with a pair of side cutters, and it's good to go. I really like these. This should be really good detail, and it should impress my guests, or at least show them that I am such a nerd I have to 3D print stuff for Thanksgiving. So there that is. So last thing you're gonna notice here in the back is I've got Christmas light up. So my wife decided that we were gonna decorate a little bit earlier this year, and since we were doing the rest of the house, I figured, you know what, why not? Let's go ahead and put some down here for the channel. So adds a nice little backdrop. It actually, this flickers. I'm editing videos right now and actually have several processing right now. And you can see the flicker. It's pretty weird because they're LED lights. I didn't expect that, but hey, it's a good little touch. Okay, so I have one last thing that I kind of want to talk about, and it's with the silicone heated pads that people use for the Fugatech FT5. So the beds that come with the FT5 are, I don't want to say garbage because that's a pretty strong word. They're not great. They will get up to temperature eventually. So the stock bed getting up to 50 to 60 degrees centigrade for PLA, you're looking at 5 to 10 minutes. If you're using a silicone heat pad, a 12 volt, mind you, not 120, a 12 volt will get you there in, let's see, I'm getting to 50C in 1 minute 40 seconds. I get to 60C in 2 minutes and 50 seconds, which is pretty doggone good from ambient, which is 22 Celsius, up to 50 and 60 degrees. And if you guys don't have one of these, it's a little boogie board. It's you write on it, click the button, and it clears it. These are great, especially for this. I don't have to keep doing a whiteboard or anything. But anyways, so with the heated pad, you can run it directly off of the MKS board for the, I'm talking for the Fugatech FT5. What you do for other printers, I don't know. I'm talking about this one printer alone. Now you can run it directly off of the headers on the board. I don't recommend that, even though that's how I currently have it wired. I don't recommend it because the bed can pull 23 amps, and if you don't have it connected perfectly right to the MKS board, those connectors are only rated for 20 amps. So if that wire is touching the plastic, or if you get some type of arc or some extra current that flows through there, you're going to melt the connector. There are plenty of people out there who have done it already because they did not do it carefully. I feel I'm a little more careful than most people due to my background, so I'm not too afraid of what's going to happen. I'm also very careful when I do my printing. But because of that, you guys saw a few weeks ago, I got the TriangleLabs MOSFET. I prefer to use the MOSFETs for this and not an SSR. There are several people out there right now in the Fugatech group that are complaining about using an SSR on a 12-volt silicon heated pad because they don't have it wired correctly. And that is your decision to use an SSR or not. Again, I'm currently not using either. This is going to be wired in very soon, and this will help pull the amperage off of that onto this nice big connector, which can handle up to 80 amps, which is what you're looking for. And these much smaller connectors right here, I think they're only rated to 5 or 6 amps, are what connect from this board onto the MKS board, which does the signaling. Also, when you turn off power, this turns directly off. If you're using SSR and you're using an alternative power supply to supply the bed, you are still feeding power to the MKS board, and you're still feeding power to the heat pad when the printer is off, unless you're doing some other crazy wiring, or you're wiring it correctly. But if you have it wired that way, you're going to run into problems. I guarantee it to you. Again, I am not the law, I'm not the no-to guy on all of this. I know specifically for this printer with specifically these type of devices. If you want to know more, Tom does great videos on both SSRs and MOSFETs, so you can go ahead up top. I'll put a link up here to his videos, and you can go check those out to see what he says, and he has much better authority on these things than I am. And I'm also doing this really to dispel everyone's like, oh, you can't use a 280 watt, 12 volt 280 watt heat pad. It's going to take forever to heat up. No, less than 3 minutes to get to 60 Celsius. And I personally do the preheat PLA, which heats up your hot end and the heater at the exact same time. And I'm up to temperature in 3 to 4 minutes, which is plenty. I mean, if you need to do it faster than that, there's something wrong with you. I don't feel the need for 120 volt heat pad. Maybe if you're doing huge prints, or I'm not even huge prints, if you're doing like massive heat pads bigger than a 12 by 12, which is what the FT5 is, if you're doing like 1,000 by 1,000 millimeter, then I can understand having to go with a 12 volt. Or if you're doing a Delta printer with a 14 inch, those huge Deltas people do with a 14, 16, 18 inch build plate, go to Kinevo or Kivivo, whatever they are, and pick up a 120 volt heat pad, because that's what you need for that. And for that, I say use an SSR, because that is what it's built for. You're doing an AC to DC SSR. DC to DC SSRs do not work the way most people think they should, especially in this application. Again, it's just my experience with that. If you have different experience, hey, great for you. But from my experience, what I've seen people do and what I've seen myself, it's not a good thing. So if you're doing DC to DC, use a MOSFET. If you're doing AC to DC, use an SSR. That's just the easiest way to do it. Some of you guys out there using mechanical relays, hey, that's beyond me. So if you get it to work properly and you're not having a power leakage or anything like that, great. I'd actually love to see someone else do a video on that type of relay to kind of complement what Tom does with the SSRs and the MOSFETs. So I kind of hope I beat that horse dead, to use a term. If you do have any questions about using 12 volt heat pads on your printers, please let me know. I can tell you how I do my setup and how to make sure that it's wired properly. A lot of people don't know how to wire things properly, especially when you're doing power. It is only 12 volts, but it can be extremely dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And just simply asking for help will, you're not saying that you're an idiot, anything, not saying that you're not smart about it, but if you don't know what you don't know, you can't be held accountable against that. So please ask questions if you can. If you don't ask me, ask someone in a Facebook group, ask someone in a forum who have done these before, and learn a little bit more about what you're working on, because that's the whole reason why I got into 3D printing, been 6 months ago, is in order to learn more. And I've learned so much here through YouTube. I've learned so much through watching other people on YouTube and what I've done, working on the printers I have, being in the Facebook groups, being active, seeing what other people are doing. I mean, this is a great opportunity for people to learn. So please reach out, ask someone for some help, and we will help you. We, others, there are plenty more knowledgeable people out there than I am, will help you get to where you want to be and get you a working, safe printer. So I hope this video answers some questions for you guys. I hope you get you informed on what I'm doing here. I'm really excited. Again, I really want to test this out and see how it works. So as soon as I stop recording this, we're going to put this on the G-Tech and start printing. I think we're going to do all the prints this week on the G-Tech. Just because I want to do all of them on the same one this time, and I think all of these would adhere just fine to the glass bed. I don't need to worry about any other type of additives to keep it held down. Don't need to worry about print bite or build check, anything like that. So we're going to do that. That's going to be it, guys. So I thank all of you for watching these vlogs. If you ever have any questions, please let me know down below, and I can address them either in the text, or if you'd like me to do a segment on it in my next vlog, I'd be more than happy to do that. Or if it's something for an entire video itself, I'm more than happy to do that as well, if it's something that I can be knowledgeable about. So please let me know. If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to subscribe, you can hit the button down below. There's a little bell icon, so you can get an email anytime I upload. You can help me out via Patreon. Donate me $1 or $2. I greatly appreciate it. All you Patreons already out there, thank you guys. I appreciate the help. If you want to also help, I have affiliate links down below for Amazon and MakerGeeks. MakerGeeks now has a MakerGeek box. So it is a monthly subscription box that comes to your door with 2 kilograms of PLA, I think a surprise gift, a tool, and 1 or more stickers. I have subscribed to that. I'm waiting for that to come in. So if you guys want that, there'll be a link down below. I also have an Amazon affiliate link. So if you want to do your holiday shopping with that, I greatly appreciate it. All proceeds go to help the channel, helps me buy things for the channel, maybe improve lighting, anything like that. So I appreciate anything you guys do for me. And as always, happy printing.